Everyone, I'm Greg Wilkins from Manly Yacht Club. This is our presentation on the racing rules of sailing with the updates for 2021 to 2024. The main thing we're going to do today is a 20-question quiz to see what everyone knows about the racing rules of sailing. But the agenda is we'll start off with a summary of the rules, the 4 principal right-of-way rules, the 4 limitations on those rules, and then a very rough summary of the mark rounding rules. Then we'll get into the 20-question quiz. If you don't feel you're ready for the 20-question quiz, then we have 2 long presentations linked in the description, about 50 minutes each, on rights and limitations and marks and obstructions. So by all means, watch those before or after, or the quiz, or review them. Then we're going to get into the quiz. They're mostly going to be simple, obvious questions. So you just, if it looks clear, just run your rules and give the answers. There's maybe 4 or 5 questions which are a little tricky or precise, but they're for teaching experiences to give me a chance to rant about some aspects of the rules. By all means, stop me and ask questions as we go. Once we've done the questions, we're going to go into the changes for 2021 to 24. There's not many that really affect the way we sail, but a couple of things I'd like to point out. And then we'll open mic for general Q&A. So let's get on to our summary of the racing rules of sailing. Part 2, Section A, the right-of-way. There's 4 rules that define the right-of-way. And what is right-of-way? A boat has right-of-way over another boat when the other boat is required to keep clear. One boat keeps clear, the other boat is the right-of-way. And there's 4 rules that define who must keep clear. Rule 10, boats on opposite tacks, port keeps clear. Same tack, not overlapped. Windward keeps clear. Same tack. There's 4 basic rules. Opposite tacks, port keeps clear. Same tack, overlapped. Windward keeps clear. Same tack, not overlapped. The astern boat keeps clear. And then rule 13, while tacking, the tacking boat keeps clear. I like to remember this as port, windward, astern, tacking keeps clear. Port, because it's the noise that you'll make if you don't keep clear. So those 4 basic rules define who has right of way. Once we know who has right of way, there's other rules that might limit that right of way. Just because you're right of way doesn't mean you're king of the seas. You may have limitations on your rights. And so there are 4 principal rules that limit your right of way. Rule 14, avoid contact if reasonably possible to do so. 15, when you acquire right of way, you shall initially give room. Changing course, the right-of-way boat while changing course shall give room while she's changing course. And above proper course is a complex rule, but I like to summarize it as if you're overtaking to leeward, don't luff. I remember the 4 limitations with caca, because you'll be in a lot of caca if you don't know your limitations. Okay. The final one we're going to summarize is giving mark room, which is kind of also, the way I summarize it, also kind of applies to obstructions. Big, complex rule, lots of text. For now, let's ignore most of it. The important part is in the first, Part A of 18.2, Part A. When boats are overlapped, the outside boat shall give the inside boat mark room. I summarize this with round the outside. For boats inside you, just go around the outside of them, unless you know all the details of the rules and you know that they know all the details of the rules. I'm not discouraging you from knowing all the details of the rules, but if out there on the water you're a little foggy on 18.3C Part 1, just go around the outside. Good simplification will get you out of most situations. Okay, that's the summary of the racing rules. See, look, you can do it in 4 minutes. So 4 minutes, you can teach the racing rules of sailing. Everyone understands. Let's go get the brownies. No, okay, we have the quiz. We're testing your knowledge. So we have a quiz about 3 boats, and we're going to look at the interaction of these 3 boats, and I'm going to test you with true-false questions about their interactions. We have blue, which is a fancy pants wannabe race boat. We have yellow, which is, another wannabe fancy pants race boat. It's okay. And then we have green, which is not a race boat. She's just out there and enjoying the day sailing, got the bikes on board, kids on board, having a barbecue off the push put. So she's not a race boat. So we're going to look at the interactions between blue, yellow, and green, and a whole bunch of true, false questions. So here's question 1. I'll let you think about that while I explain the rules. The rules are, I'll ask a true, false question. Everyone who thinks it's true will put their hand up. You'll put your hand up on Zoom. You have to do something to commit to it, so that when you when the true answer is revealed, you can go, "Dot, I'm right," or "Dot, I'm wrong," or whatever, and then you're going to keep score, and we'll tally it up at the end and see who gets 20 out of 20 and who doesn't. So it's an honesty system. We're trusting you to keep your score correctly. If you get the right answer, but for the wrong reasoning, that's okay, because what we want you to do is to just get a sense of it out there. You don't actually have to know, oh, that was because of 19.2 clause B part 1 that I had right away or had to keep clear or whatever. If you just guess it right, that's good. You get the tick and it counts. But I will use this all as teaching opportunities to explain each of the questions as we go along. Okay, question 1. Blue must keep clear of yellow. Here we have blue on port. Here we have yellow on starboard. The wind is coming from this arrow here. People, put your hands up if you think true that blue must keep clear of yellow. A few hands going up. Now, most of these questions are going to be blindingly obvious. There are going to be a few trickier questions in there, but they're tricky for a reason. But for most of them, if you think it's blindingly obvious, it is blindingly obvious. Yes, of course, blue must keep clear of yellow by Rule 10. When boats are on opposite tacks, a port tack shall keep clear of a starboard tack boat. Blues on port keeps clear of yellow on starboard. Hopefully we have everybody, well, there's not many hands up at the moment, but yeah, there's 4 people got that question right. Oh, the club has problems. No, I'm sure some people are keeping score internally. Okay, question 2. Yellow is keeping clear. Here we have blue and yellow going upwind. They're both on starboard. You have to see me doing this to starboard port. They're in starboard. And it looks like yellow's got a bit of an overlap. Doesn't look like there's going to be an imminent collision. They could keep sailing along this way without bumping into each other for a while. Yellow is keeping clear. True or false? Hands up, true, if you think yellow is keeping clear. Oh, a couple of hands going down, hands going up. Yeah. Yeah, maybe, okay, that's enough time, I think. Well, no, yellow is not keeping clear. So firstly, did she have to keep clear? Well, yes, with Rule 11, when boats are on the same tack and overlapped, and that's definitely looking like an overlap, a windward boat, which is yellow, shall keep clear of a leeward boat. So firstly, yellow did have to keep clear. But what's the definition of keep clear? Well, you've got to look in the definitions as well as the rules. And the definition of keep clear is a boat keeps clear if the other boat can sail her course. Well, blue can sail her course. You can head up here. But B, the other boat can change course without immediately making contact. So if yellow sticks a nose in there, if blue changes course, like comes up, yellow's going to T-bone her. If blue changes course to go down, her bum's going to swing out and touch yellow's nose. So if you put your bow in there, you're not keeping clear. So the definition of keeping clear is it has to allow the right-of-way boat to sail her course, but also to change course without immediately, and that's very subjective, but without immediately going whack. So in this case, I think it's pretty clear that yellow's nose was too close to blue. She's not keeping clear. Okay, so you're getting the style of the questions now. Yellow must give room. Okay, we have yellow going upwind on port, blue coming downwind on starboard. I think if they continue on their course, their gunnels will definitely rub. Does yellow have to give room to blue? Yep. Hands up if you think yellow should give room to blue. Hands are changing. Okay, I'll take the honesty system. No. Yellow doesn't have to give room to blue. This is one of the tricky questions. This is the one getting the definitions. Yellow is the keep clear boat. What do keep clear boats do? They keep clear. Keep clear is a lot more, prescriptive than giving room. Keep clear, you got to let blue sail a course and change the course. So here, yellow is not keeping clear of blue because blue, if she sails the course, is going to bump into yellow. Giving room is something a right-of-way boat does. Room is a limitation on your right-of-way. So it's not that yellow has to give blue room. Yellow has to keep clear of blue. And so those are the two concepts you're going to be playing with all the time in the rules. Keep clear is a little bit more forceful than giving room. Okay, question 4. Blue must keep clear. Here we have blue now on port. We have green gull wing coming downwind here. Green's our cruising boat. Dinghy's out the back. Kids are probably in the dinghy. Blue must keep clear. Port versus gull wing. Hands up if blue must keep clear. And hint, this may be a tricky question.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, no, blue must not keep clear. Green is a cruising boat. Racing rules don't apply. So therefore, under coal regs, a giveaway vessel must take early and substantial action to keep well clear. That's a much tougher criteria than just keeping clear. So yeah, blue has to give way because green is on starboard because it's the mainsail that matters. Doesn't matter about the jib. Main here is out that side, so the wind's coming down here. She's on starboard. So under coal regs, blue is the giveaway vessel, and a giveaway vessel must take early and substantial action to keep well clear. So let's quickly look at the difference between keeping clear and giving way. Here's green going upwind on starboard. Here's fancy pants blue race boat on port. So, fancy pants race boat thinks, oh yeah, I know I've got to give way to green, but I don't want to go any height, so I'm going to bear away at the last possible second, and I'm going to maximum speed, pass a dinghy with centimetres to spare. Well, that's keeping clear. If green was a race boat, fine, you can do that. But green's not a race boat, coal regs apply. If blue does that, the kid's going to be screaming, the dog's going to be barking, the Chardonnay's going to be spilled, the barbecue's going to burn, it's all a disaster. Blue, under coal regs, must take early and substantial action to keep well clear. How far is well clear? Well, it's again subjective, but it's more than keeping clear. Keeping clear is centimetres. Well clear is much more than that, and an early change of direction. So everyone on green knows that blue's not going to T-bone them, stuff like that. Okay, quarter of the way through. I hope these questions aren't too tricky. Feedback welcome. If they are, there are some simple questions in there. Blue has right of way. Again, playing with the words, right of way. Blue here on port. On starboard. Yellow on starboard. Thank you. No one's falling asleep. Everyone's on both on boats on starboard. There definitely looks like there's an overlap here. Blue has right of way. Hands up, true if you think it's true. Hands down if you don't know or false. Lisa's going ooh, ooh, ooh,
Yeah, you got us now.
Hey, Macarena.
Put my hand up.
Yeah. Blue has right of way. Yeah. Sorry. There was a few tricky questions, but this is not a tricky question. It's in there just to make the difference of keep clear versus right of way. They're opposites. A boat has right of way over another boat when the other boat is required to keep clear. So in any two boats, one of them is going to be right of way, the other one's going to be keep clear boat. So in this case, blue must keep clear of yellow. Yellow must keep clear of blue. Sorry, because yellow is the windward boat under Rule 11. When boats are on the same tack and overlap, a windward boat shall keep clear of a leeward boat. So yellow must keep clear of blue. So therefore, we can say of blue that she has right of way. Okay. So most of the questions are hopefully straightforward like this. Just a few tricky ones. Yellow must keep clear. Okay. Both boats were on port. We bring some dynamics in here. Yellow sailing on port, but blue has decided to tack. And so you can see blue has passed head to wind, but she's not onto a close hauled course yet. So she's in the middle of attack. So yellow must keep clear of blue doing this maneuver. Hands up if you think true. Hands down if you think false. It's false, because our fourth right-of-way rule is 13. After a boat passes head to wind, she shall keep clear of other boats until she is on a close-hauled course. So blue has passed head to wind, and she hasn't gotten close-hauled, so she is tacking, although the new rules try and remove the word tacking a lot more and just use the word passing head to wind a lot more. But colloquially, she's tacking. She shall keep clear of yellow. So whatever the rules applies, blue is the keep clear boat, yellow is the right-of-way boat here. Okay, blue's finished attack. She's now on a close-hauled course, and up she goes. Here's yellow down here. The question is, blue must give yellow room to keep clear. Okay, bringing in the concept of room again. This is the limitations on your right-of-way. Must blue give yellow room to keep clear?
Yep.
Okay, hands up if you think blue should give yellow room. Because if yellow doesn't do anything, there's probably going to be a bit of a nick on the back here. Well, yes, blue must give yellow room to keep clear. This is rule 15. When a boat acquires right of way, she shall initially give room to the other boat to keep clear, unless acquired because of the other boat's actions. Well, in this case, blue's acquired rights by her own tack. When she finished attack, she acquired right of way. Yellow is now required to keep clear. So blue has to give her room to keep clear. And how can she do that? Well, she can allow yellow to tack. And okay, it's quite close quarters here. So if yellow does her tack, blue might have to luff up a little bit. So even though blue was the right-of-way boat while yellow was tacking, she might have to luff in order to give room. Or if yellow ducks down like here, then blue might have to go down to lift her bum out of the way, although she's sailing that direction anyway, so it's probably keeping clear. So why that's a close one? A race boat should always be ready to dump main and duck or do a tack at short notice. So in this case, blue probably did give yellow room and got away with it with a very scary tack, but a bit borderline. But anyway, the question wasn't whether she was giving room, but she must give room. So blue has to give yellow room. Okay, question 8. Similar question. Blue is giving yellow room to keep clear. Here we have blue has done the same trick of tacking onto starboard, while yellow is also on starboard but coming downwind. So yellow is now the keep clear boat because she is the windward boat. But the question has, blue is giving yellow room to keep clear. Do we think blue's giving yellow room to keep clear? It's very close here. No, I don't think so, because let's look at the definition of room. The space the boat needs in the existing conditions, so well, let's say it's puffy, she might be surging backwards and forwards, including the space to comply with our obligations under rules of part 2, which is the right-of-way rules and keeping clear, and rule 31 is not to hit a mark, while manoeuvring promptly in a seaman-like way. So what could yellow do to get out of this situation here? Well, she can't really come up without flogging her, well, she have to come up a long way, and boats don't do 180 turns very easily. Or she could do a very quick jibe. But if that was the sail plan that yellow had up, I don't think she could do a quick jibe in that situation. So if you tack in front of somebody and inquire rights, you have to allow them to avoid you, to keep clear in a seaman-like way appropriate to the conditions. And, tacking in front of a boat under spinnaker in close quarters is not going to meet that requirement. Okay, almost at the halfway point. So our boats, blue and yellow, are going up the harbour. All the crew are sitting on the rail, and they look up to the side, and they see a pair of Elliots match racing off to the side. So the crew on the rail are saying, let's work out what's happening over here. Because match racing can be real fun. You see that Elliot number 2 is gone all the way around here, and the wind's coming from this direction. Elliot 2's on starboard. Elliot 3 is on port. Elliot 2 is probably jibed up here onto starboard and then turned all the way around down here and is turning around here. The question is, E2 may change course. In this situation, is Elliot 2 able to change course? Hands up, true, if you think that E2 can change course. Hands down for false if you think that Elliott 2 is constrained and limited to not change course? Well, E2 can change course, but she has some limitations on it. So she's allowed to change course. But the two limitations that could apply in this situation is firstly 15, when a boat acquires right of way, she shall initially give the other boat room. Well, E2 acquired rights up here when she jibed onto starboard, and she was going 180 degrees the other direction. She's come all the way down here. So you've gone all the way around there, initially ran out a long time ago. So 15 doesn't apply. But 16 does apply. When a right-of-way boat changes course, she shall give the other boat room to keep clear. And so 2 is definitely changing course. Her helm's hard over. You see there's the tiller there, and she's zooming around here. So she has to give 3 room to keep clear, but that doesn't prevent her changing course. She can change course, but just as much as not to, basically hit 3. So as 3 zooms around here and probably bears away, 2's allowed to change course and follow her around. She's just not allowed to stop 3 from keeping clear. And of course, 2 could change course the other direction if she wanted to, or she could sail on. She is the right-of-way boat. But remember, 16 doesn't prevent a right-of-way boat keeping clear under the racing rules. It just constrains her when she is changing course to give the other boat room. Okay, bit of a hint in that explanation to this question. Blue may change course. Here we have blue coming downwind. Oh, blue should have had her bow spread out and a massive big assy all the way around here. Let's pretend she does. Screaming on downwind, and here we have green, our cruising boat, coming upwind. Green's on port, blue's on starboard. Blue may change course. Question. Hands up true if you think blue can change course. Oh, a few hands going up. Well, unfortunately, blue can't change course because green is in this position anyway. Green is a cruising boat. Coal regs apply. And there's extra limitations on well, not the right of way, they call it the stand-on vessel. Under coal regs, under 17 coal regs, the action by the stand-on vessel shall keep her course and speed. The idea is you have to allow the give-way boat to take an early and substantial action to give way and have that hold once she's taken that action. So if blue's here, like taking every bit of puff to go down and whatever, green may have decided to bear away big time rather than tack away. And if blue keeps taking all the puff and running on down, she's going to take the dinghy off. That breaks coal regs. Now you might do that under racing rules and take the things, but because it's a coal reg situation, blue has to hold her course and speed. Now, of course, if green doesn't bear away here, at some point, probably around here, blue realizes that green is not giving way, then and only then, to avoid a collision, blue can change course. But if she was to change course, she wouldn't go down here. She would, go. You don't change course to port under coal regs. You change course to starboard, so you go port to port. But only once there's an imminent collision or to avoid a collision can you change course. Otherwise, if you're passing a cruising boat, don't zigzag around the place. Basically, hold your course so they can keep well clear of you. Okay, we're into the second half. I hope I haven't discouraged too many people with tricky questions. Here we have a start line, and there's this is a new flag under the new racing rules, an orange flag, and there's a clock up there saying 5 seconds to go to the start line. So we're not racing yet. Here's the start line. Yellow on starboard is going for a pin end start. Obviously, she thinks there's good wind off to the left. Blue looks like she's a little late. Can blue call yellow up? Can there be shouting of up, 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 up? Well, there's always shouting, but does yellow have to pay attention to any shouting from blue of up, 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 up? Is the question. Hands up if you think yellow is, can be called up by blue. Hands down if you don't know or are undecided or false. Well, she can't, because you typically call a boat up when you've established an overlap. Now, blue might think that she's got an overlap with yellow because yellow's next to her. But the definition of overlap is that a boat overlap when neither of them is clear astern. And from yellow's point of view, blue is fully clear astern of yellow. So blue is the clear astern boat, and under Rule 12, when boats are on the same tack and not overlapped, a boat clear astern shall keep clear of a boat clear ahead. So at this point of time, blue is the keep clear boat, yellow is the right of way boat, and there can be no shouting of up, 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 up. In order for blue to start pushing yellow up over the line, blue has to establish her overlap. Of course, if she sticks her nose in here too close, then she's acquired rights. When she acquires rights, she has to give a little bit of room. If she's turning to come up in here, then she's changing course and she has to give room. So as she grabs her overlap in here, she has obligations to give yellow a bit of room, and probably 5 seconds isn't enough initially for yellow to get across a nice pin and start. If blue wants to be shouting up, up, up and have yellow paying attention, she should have established the overlap some time ago, and in a way that would have allowed her to come up in a seaman-like way and pushed yellow up. So, well, there will be shouting of up, up, up here, but yellow will just blank them. Okay, question 12. Into our obstruction rules now. So when you think of your obstruction rules, blue is giving yellow room. Here we have the man in the ferry coming down the harbour. Yellow and blue are going up the harbour. They're not going to hit the ferry. They're on a nice course up here, come quite close there, but they're not going to hit the ferry. Is blue giving room to yellow? Hands up if you think she's giving room. If she is giving room, hands down if you think she's not giving room. Okay, a few hands going up there. Well, let's firstly look, does Rule 19 apply? Rule 19 applies between two boats at an obstruction. So we have two boats at an obstruction. But the key thing is the Manly Ferry is not the obstruction. It's the great big zone around her is the obstruction. 200 metres in front, 50 metres either side and 50 metres behind. And we have to remember that it's not just the metal thing that you bump off is the obstruction. There can be obstructions that are lines and zones and areas between moorings, for instance, and those are the obstructions. So the obstruction of this ferry extends way past the ferry. So blue has to bear away and give yellow room to go around that zone. It's not good enough for blue just to make yellow not hit the ferry. So in this case, and so Rule 19 applies, and so part 2 tells us what it means. When boats are overlapped, the outside boat shall give the inside boat room. So blue is the outside boat for this obstruction. She's not giving yellow room because yellow is going to have to go through the zone. So blue was not giving yellow room. It's easy to see when the obstruction is something like that because, blue can give yellow less room just as long as yellow doesn't hit the obstruction, that's fine. But when it's a ferry, the zone is the obstruction, not the ferry. See? Oh yeah, so then this is again an application of my wonderful simplification of round the outside. If there's something that you can't sail through, the outside boat lets the inside boat inside, the outside boat goes around the outside. Okay, in the final run here, the mark rounding rules. Very complex one. I'll remind you, round the outside. Yellow must give blue mark room. So here we have the 3 boat length zone. Yellow was the first to the zone, and when she got there, blue has got an inside overlap, although blue hasn't laid the mark. And blue up here, where we're asking the question, blue is luffing to get around the mark and has pushed yellow up into a luff. So yellow must give blue mark room, yes or no? Hands up if we think yellow owes mark room to blue. Well, of course she does. Rule 18 applies between boats when they are required to leave a mark on the same side and at least one of them is in the zone. So at least one of them is in the zone. And there's lots of exclusions on 18.1, but I assure you none of them apply here. And so what does it mean when 18 applies? When boats are overlapped, the outside boat shall give the inside boat mark room. So blue is the right-of-way boat here, but regardless, even she's owed mark room to luff up and go around this mark. It's a perfect application of round the outside. Yellow should go round the outside because blue's inside of it. Straightforward one. Okay, question 14. We have blue on port coming upwind. We have yellow on starboard coming upwind, yelling, starboard, starboard, starboard! And then, whack, they hit. Has yellow broken a rule? Hands up if we think yellow's broken a rule. Hands
Greg,
down if
we've
we
lost your
think.
slides.
Say again?
We've lost your slides. I can just see other participants.
Oh, I'm still sharing.
I
Okay.
can see it fine. I think you pressed a button, wrong button, because I can see you.
Okay, sorry.
Click on Manly Yacht Club. I'll have to mime it all, okay? It's blue, no, not good, just look at the slides. Has yellow broken a rule? Okay, the clue is here in the question number 14. Yes, yellow broke a rule. It's not good enough to say starboard, 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 and then we hit. If you ever end up in a protest committee room, I want to hear, I yelled starboard, I realized they weren't keeping clear, so I threw the helm over, but it was too late, and then we hit. Or better yet, you know, we narrowly missed them and I yelled protest. But if you just sail straight into the side of them and make the whack noise, then it doesn't matter that yellow was right away. She broke rule 14. On question 14, no, there's no other alignments, just that one. So, I think. Okay, last 5 questions. I'll just have a glug of my coffee here. Well, I'll go a bit slower for the mark rounding rules because you've got to process all the little bits and pieces. Blue is owed mark room by yellow. Is blue, outside boat coming around up here, owed mark room by yellow at this point here? Well, blue was the first to the zone. Yellow was clear behind, clear astern at that point of time. Blue hadn't laid the mark. It's a starboard rounding. And up here we see that blue has tacked to go to the mark and go around the mark. At this point here, is blue owed mark room by yellow? No, she's not, because mark room is a limitation on a right-of-way boat, but mark room itself has its limitations. And there's 2 key limitations that apply that frequently boats that think they have mark room forget. By 18.2.d, mark room ceases to apply if the boat entitled to mark room passes head to wind or leaves the zone. So once blue passes head to wind, even though at this point she was entitled to mark room and all the way up here she was entitled to mark room, once she passes head to wind, she's no longer entitled to mark room. Even if she was, mark room for a boat does not include room to tack unless she is overlapped inside. And she's not overlapped inside. If she's overlapped here, she's on the outside, and here there was no overlap. So mark room itself has a limit on whether you're allowed to tack or not. Plus, if you tack, mark room turns off. So basically, if you haven't laid the mark, it doesn't mean you can tack in front of a boat on starboard and expect them to give you mark room. Once you tack, or tacking here, blue is the keep clear boat. When she finishes onto her tack, she's on port and she has to keep clear of the starboard boat. And this boat has no obligations under 15 because she didn't acquire those rights by her own actions. So blue's in a world of pain if she tacks right there. Of course, yellow has to avoid a collision. So around the outside, in this case, yellow's got inside of blue at this point here. So if you don't know the details of the rule, blue just go around the outside of yellow, and if yellow delays attack, then you've got to go all the way around the outside of it. You know. Okay, another mark rounding one, fairly similar. Yellow has right of way. Here we are, they've got to the zone. Yellow has her inside overlap on blue as they got to the zone. As they get up here, well, the overlap might have broken. It's a little bit touch and go. Can't quite tell. But, you know, she certainly had the overlap at this stage back here. So does yellow have right of way? Tricky question warning, tricky question warning, tricky question warning. Hands up if you think yellow has right of way. No, yellow must keep clear. Doesn't matter, you know, regardless of the mark rounding rules or limitations, right of way still holds. Yellow is the windward boat here, so she has to keep clear here. At this point, she's either the windward boat or she's clear astern, one or the other. Either way, she keeps clear. So she is the keep clear boat. Blue is always the right of way boat. It's just that by rule 18, blue owes yellow mark room. But owing mark room is much less than having right of way. Yellow's not the right of way boat. Blue's the right of way boat that owes yellow mark room. So again, the message I'm keep pushing is you might have rights, but they're always limited. Don't ever think you're king of the seas and you can do whatever you like. So again, round the outside. At this point, you know, yellow was inside blue, so blue goes around the outside, even though the overlap may have been broken. Question 17. Yellow must give blue mark room. We have boats on opposite tacks here. Blue is on head turn port. Yellow is on head turn starboard, coming down to a sort of starboard rounding. Yep. And they're downwind. Yellow must give blue mark room. Blue's first to the zone. Hands up if we think blue must give yellow mark room. This is not a tricky question. Yes, blue must give mark room. Rule 18 applies. At least one of the boats is in the zone. Blue's in the zone. However, it does not apply between boats on opposite tacks on a beat to windward. So these boats are on opposite tacks, but they're not on a beat to windward. They're going downwind. So overlap does apply in this circumstance. And if we looked at the definition of overlap, which I should have had up here, basically downwind, it's very hard not to overlap. Neither of these boats is clear astern. There's definitely an overlap. Blue is inside of yellow. Yellow has got to go around the outside and give blue mark room. Okay, last of the mark rounding questions. Yellow can tack. Let me describe the situation here. We have a mark they're rounding, and the next mark is straight up the page, a straight up wind mark. They've reached into this mark. Yellow was first to the zone. There was no overlap. Blue was clear astern. So, you know, at this stage here, yellow certainly has owed mark room by blue. Yellow goes in tight and comes out wide and wants to tack and head off this direction. Blue has come in late, has come in wide, and then come in high and stuck a nose into that little situation there. So, question is, can yellow tack in that situation? Yellow was owed mark room. In this situation here, yellow was the right-of-way boat, blue was keep clear. Now blue's keep clear, yellow's right-of-way boat. Can she tack? Hands up true. Hands down false. It is false. Yellow can't tack in that situation. And there's a number of reasons why not, depending on the exact timing of how this happens. But firstly, Rule 18 no longer applies between boats when mark room has been given. So if the next mark is upwind up here, once yellow's come up and is on a close haul, she's sailing a course to that mark. So she's rounded the mark as necessary to sail the course. Now, she might think it's better out over to the right, but there's nothing in mark rounding that says you have to allow her the best tactical option. You just have to allow her to sail the course. So when she's going upwind here, you know, she's rounded the mark, that's fine. So once she's rounded the mark room turns off anyway. If the mark was over here, you know, this point here, then okay, she's got further to go. She hasn't finished rounding the mark room might still apply for a little bit longer, but mark room for a boat does not include room to tack unless she is overlapped inside, and yellow is not overlapped inside, so she doesn't have room to tack. The mark room that allows tacking is only for an inside boat, and really only for her bum to swing out as she goes into that tack. Is the only thing that the mark room allows for tacking. In this situation, it's like the mark doesn't exist, and yellow, if the mark didn't exist, yellow there can't tack in front of blue. And so blue can keep sailing on if she likes. Of course, yellow is the right-of-way boat and can luff blue they're both into a very slow position and make it very clear to blue that she should tack. But she can't just whack the helm over and go in front of blue and cause a collision. And we've had quite a few collisions at the club in that situation. Think obelisk, reaching into obelisk, boat outside here, boat inside, some tacks in front of them, bang, T-bone. So yeah, don't do that. Okay, round the outside. So in this case, round the outside applied inside the zone. Once blue got a nose inside there, you know, maybe she shouldn't have put a nose in there, but the simplification for yellow is there's a nose inside of me. I'll go around the outside, and if I don't like it, and I know why I don't like it, I can protest. But the solution is not to tack in front of the nose. Yeah. Okay, finally, we're going to have two questions on hailing for room to tack at an obstruction. Blue may hail for room to tack. Let's break this one down. We have a continuing obstruction here because there's a big long island with sandbars between them. It is a mark, big hint here, it is a mark. Blue is not fetching. Blue is going to bump into the island. Yellow is fetching, can bear away. So think Shark Island here. We're coming in, this is the mark in the Shark Island. Someone is outside you and has laid it. You haven't quite made it there. In this situation, is blue able to hail for room to tack? Hands up if you think she is allowed to hail for room to tack. Hands down if you think she's not allowed to hail for room to tack. She's actually not allowed to hail for room to tack. This is all about Rule 20, which is actually not a safety rule. It's really about a good racing rule, how to do racing. And so 20.1 tells you when the rule applies. And it says, she shall not hail if the obstruction is a mark, which it is, and a boat that is fetching it, which is yellow was fetching it, would be required to change course as a result of the hail. And if you want her to give you room or to tack away, she'd have to change course. So technically, she's not allowed to hail in this situation. So you think, well, blue's in a bit of trouble here because, you know, she's heading upwind. She's going to hit the island, you know, what can she do? Well, there's some outs, but just with the rules that we've got, blue is the right-of-way boat. Yellow is the keep clear boat, either because she's windward or she's astern. At the moment, I think she's astern. But blue is the right-of-way boat, so she can sail up into a luff and luff yellow. That's no problem here. She's allowed to do that. And if she goes it really, really slowly, she can actually tack here. She hasn't hailed for room to tack, but she has just tacked here. And now she's the keep clear boat because she is tacking, but she's at an obstruction. And as we saw in the earlier questions, at an obstruction, the outside boat must give the inside boat room. So even without hailing for room to tack, which would allow her a nice fast zoop, zoop around there, she can do this horrible, slow, luff, 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 tack, and then yellow has to luff, 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 and then give her room. So both boats are going to be horrendously slow, but at least none of them are going to run aground. But yeah, she's not able to hail for room to tack. Oh yeah, and yellow has to give room here because at a continuing obstruction, Rule 19 always applies, and she can't say, oh, I've got mark room, blah, 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 blah. So obstruction is an island, yes, Greg Taranto. The obstruction is an island, so therefore Rule 19 always applies and Rule 18 does not. And Rule 19 is giving room at an obstruction. So even though when blue's tacking, yellow has to give her room, which is, you know, just enough to sit there and flap around and not necessarily get around it in a very tactical and fast way. Or alternatively, oh, so that's, you know, around the outside, yellow has to go around the outside is the simplification. Alternatively, what happens if in this situation, blue does hail for tack? We've established she's not allowed to, but let's say she does. And furthermore, let's say it's a really strange hail. She's using some weird language here. Chambre de l'eau pour l'attaque, which I think is French. Something about water closet or water room. Water, I don't know. She starts shouting at us at this situation. What are we going to do? Yellow must tack or give room. True or false? Is it true that at this situation, yellow has to tack or give blue room to tack? Well, hands up if you think it's true. Hands down if you think it's false. Well, this is the other route, is that, yeah, she does actually have to respond if she's hailed. So firstly, in the new rules from 2021, they do change what the meaning of a hail can be. They say a language other than English may be used if there's a reasonable for it to be understood by all boats affected. So on Sydney Harbour, it might not be reasonable to think that French would be understood, but then it's also not reasonable to think that water is a shout that we can understand as room to tack. People shout water all the time. But in this case, they've actually said the word tack in there. So if you're approaching an island that looks like they're going to run aground and they start shouting gibberish at you, including the word tack, oh yeah, it is definitely a bad translation on purpose. It's gibberish. If you hear the word tack, then they're hailing you. And the important thing here is 20.2 Part B. A hailed boat shall respond even if the hail breaks Rule 20.1. So even if Blue's not allowed to hail, and she does hail, and even if the hail technically doesn't meet the requirements of what a hail should be, it's not the right language, or they just shouted water and water doesn't mean anything. You know, if it's reasonable to understand that the reason they're shouting at you and gesturing, I think the new rules allow you to gesture as well, it's pretty clear they want to tack. And if they do that gestures, then you have to tack or give them room. In this case, yellow is tacked. If she doesn't like it, if she doesn't think Blue should have done it, or she thinks Blue's French accent was just atrociously bad, she can protest, but she can't not respond. Okay, that's our 20 questions. I hope everyone was keeping score. An island is instruction to O. Yeah, well, that's what we went through the earlier scenario. Question 19 was that Blue can always get by using it as an obstruction. Rule 20 is really about, I want to get around an obstruction with the tack is a fast, tack left, tack right to get around it. And hailing for a room to tack is about racing. It's not about not running aground, really. Okay, let's look at the results. The most important part of this thing is looking at the results. So, results reveal. Blue boat, Esprit, was disqualified 5 times, I think. Ugh, not very good. Yellow, oh, I'll call them. She was also disqualified 5 times. Tie, damn. Green, I think she's writing a very nasty letter to a float magazine. Not very happy with us. So, yeah, not good results. But okay, let's actually look at the questions. Did anyone get 0? Hands up if you got none right. Jen's got a hand up. Did Jen get none right? Wow. Getting none right is just as hard as getting 20 right. That's pretty amazing if you got 0. If you only got 1 to 5 right, we really need to talk before you go out there racing again. But I'm happy to go over the rules in fine detail if you're getting that sort of low score. 6 to 10, I really recommend watching the YouTube videos that I've got linked in the invitation here. There's a 50-minute one on rights and obligations, limitations, and there's a 50-minute one on obstructions and marks. And you can pause them whenever you like. Go for it. If you got 11 to 15, you're doing pretty good. You're in the right zone. Just remember your quack, your cacker, and you're around the outside, and just apply those, and those simplifications will get you out of almost all those situations. If you got 16 to 19, don't feel bad. I tricked you with trick questions. You were cheated. You were robbed. Yes, I was being pedantic about little definitions and bringing in things like that. They are important. If you're feeling cheated, it means that just remember to stay a little bit further away from a cruising boat, and don't mix up giving room and keeping clear. And if you got 20, then you're giving the presentation next time. So hands up anyone who got 16 to 19. Did we have anyone that was cheated? Any hands going up? No hands going up. No one got 16. Did anyone get 11 to 15? I saw one person who got 11. Yeah, Zoom user, guest, anonymous. We have one anonymous person. Eve got 11 to 15. Yay. Okay, maybe I was too tricky. I was hoping that most of you would have hit it in the zone 15, at least 16-ish. All right. That could mean that you need to review your rules, or it could mean that I set the quiz a little bit too hard. Feedback is definitely welcome. So now we're in the part where we have a little bit of a break. Well, while I set up the next slide deck, the idea is I'm just going to go very quickly through about 5 slides that show the rule changes for 2021. They'll start in January, and there's nothing really that affects us very much, so it's going to be pretty simple. And then I'll throw the microphone open, and we'll have general question and answer. Okay, so let me stop this sharing, and I'm going to go to this deck, and I'm going to share the screen. Host disabled attended screen sharing. Okay, so I'm going to have to reclaim being the host. Then I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share the part 4, share, and then I'll make Jan can be host again. Where's Jan? Jan, more, make host, yes. Okay, racing rules of sailing, they come out every 4 years. We've got a new edition of them coming out in 2021. And if you actually look at it, there's an awful lot of changes. Oops, let me go over here. There's an awful lot of changes like this throughout most of the book. But really, most of them are just clarifications, which are only really relevant to protest committees or rule wonks. There's very few that change the way we conduct ourselves on the water. And maybe a few more that change our race committees. So let's have a look at them. There's a couple of extra flags. We have an orange for a starting line, and we have a blue flag for a finishing line. I think these flags have actually been defined in sailing instructions for some time. They just were never in the flag summary of the book. So now that's a formal orange and blue flags. I believe we actually have these flags in the boats. I don't know if we always use them, but we do. There is a new safety flag. If you see it flying the, St. George Cross, I'd say it is, but it's a V flag. It means monitor your communications for safety instructions. It's for a new Rule 37, which is basically to try and coordinate the fleet to do a search and rescue or something to that effect. So we are all, of course, monitoring channel 16 continuously on our VHF radios that we all have on all our boats. But if you see this flag flying, then make sure you turn the volume up a little bit and start rubbernecking out, looking for hands in the water waving or something to that effect. Take a bit of initiative. It's an extra safety thing. Okay, there's a few little tweaks in the definitions to try and improve them. And the main one that changes, or the main two that actually change us, is defining what a start and a finish is. A boat starts when her hull, having been entirely on the pre-start side of the line, off sustaining signal, having complied with Rule 30.1, it applies. Any part of her hull, delete crew or equipment, crosses the starting line from the pre-start side to the course side. So that's it. That's a clarification. The key thing is that starting is no longer defined as crew and equipment in their proper location. It's just the hull is what defines a boat crossing the start line. And it's also, there's the finish. Any part of her hull in normal position. I'd really like to know how you can put your hull not in normal position. That would be a good one. I'm so going to try it. I guess that means you can't, if you capsize, you can't start or finish. That's a good one. If you're capsized and drift across a finish line, is that a finish? It's not its normal position. Maybe not. I'm going to ask for a clarification on that one. Okay, so let's see what that means. Here we have a line. Let's say it's a finish line. And here we have a boat coming along to, is a bowsprit a part of the hull? Well, that's what we're going to get into. Good question. Very good question. Is a bowsprit part of the hull? Well, hull is actually not technically defined. There's no definition for hull. And so when there's no definition, it falls down to what the common definition would be. So, and I've got some slides to draw in this. So in this particular case, I don't think that bowsprit is part of that hull. So therefore, this boat has not crossed that line. It's got, well, I'm saying 2 meters to go. Bella had an enormous bowsprit. So she's at least got another meter to go. So Bella has not yet crossed that line. If I'm calling it, then I'm saying that's her hull there. So she hasn't finished. And is Bella also crossing the line? The interesting thing is it's always been a problem of other boats obscuring a boat when it does cross the line. But now, you know, a boat can actually obscure itself when it's crossing lines. So you're gonna have to guess, oh, I think the hull's in here, you know, and say that's where it's going. And the reason they're doing this is actually they're realizing that more and more GPSs are going to be used to work out where a boat is and where it's finished. And a GPS can know where the hull is, but it's not going to know where the sails and the bowsprits and things like that is. So what about this boat here? Well, previously, Ratty would have finished because that's her equipment in its normal position and it's touched the line. But she's got another meter or so to go. It's not her pulpit, it's her hull. So it's this shiny blue bit here that has to touch the line. What about this boat here? Has that crossed the line? Well, this actually hasn't changed much, because if I saw this boat going across a line with its spinnaker out there, I would say that's not in its normal working position. So in the current rules, I don't know when she's dragging sideways across the line. I guess it'd be sometime around here, but certainly not the spinnaker would have finished up. But under the new rules, it's not until her hull crosses the line. Although again, I'm going to ask for a clarification of that normal position. That's not a normal position for the hull. You know, like she's a fat bum boat, so her hull is actually underwater down here somewhere. So I guess that bit of the hull when it crosses the line doesn't count. It's this bit here that's above the water. The normal position for a hull is above water. So yeah. But to get back to the question about what defines a bowsprit and what defines a hull, well, what about this boat crossing the line? Some may recognize this as a very famous Sydney and Hobart boat. Where does the hull stop and the bowsprit start? Yeah. Well, is there any help in the technical things? There are equipment rules of sailing, which do precisely define where a hull starts and finishes. It doesn't include a rudder hung off the back. It doesn't include a fixed bowsprit. You know, I think technically they look at the shear line and stuff like that. But while they are attempting to align the equipment rules of sailing and the racing rules of sailing, they haven't done that yet in this edition. So there is no definition of hull in the racing rules of sailing, which means it's just the common language definition of hull. It's what, you know, you as a layperson would look at a boat and say, well, that's the hull and that's a stick hanging off the hull. So if we go back to here, if this boat finishes and a start person says that that's the hull because it's got rails on it and there's a crew person standing on it and it's all curved, then they can say that's the hull. Now technically it might be the shear line here, but it's the common definition. So I mean, in all things there's a bit of subjective things. The race committees, when they call it, they can call it as they see it. And this is the rule that mostly is going to affect us, but only in a little bit. So we'll just be looking at the hull of the boats. And you know, it's not going to affect the way we sail. It's going to affect when we volunteer to be on the race committee, as we all do. There's a change in the definition of proper course. This rule really doesn't, you know, come into effect as much as people think. If you're overtaking to leeward, don't luff a boat. And the clarification is it's a proper course is the course you would choose in order to sail the course as fast as possible way. And that's just indicating that people might choose different courses. One boat might go for more wind, one might go for less current, might go for flatter water. The course you choose to go to the fastest way is subjective. Okay, very good news. Part 2, right of way, there are no changes. So it is opposite tacks, port keeps clear, same tack overlapped, windward keeps clear, same tack not overlapped, the stern keeps clear, while tacking boat keeps clear. Or the boat passed head to wind and hasn't reached a close haul course keeps unclear. So Pwat still holds. No changes at all. Not even one line is changing there. There's a little bit of a change in Rule 14. It used to be that if you were entitled to room, you could be exonerated for contact, or not. You didn't have to act until it was obvious. But they've tightened that up a little bit. It's not just that you're entitled to room; it's that you're sailing within that room. So, like room to sail to a mark doesn't mean you can do a wide rounding. If you go outside the room that you're entitled to, then you do have to start anticipating collisions more than you should have. So it's a little bit tighter. You can't go, hey, I've got a mark room, therefore I'm going to go outside that room and go cruising for a bruising. So it's just a little bit of a tightening up. But I'd hope that no one would be, trying to bump into other boats anyway. All the exoneration clauses have been moved to a new Rule 43, but that's just really just a technicality. They all really are the same rule. The 16 has changed a little bit on 16.2, which is the dial down example, which I'll show in a second. It used to apply on any situation where one was passing astern of the other, but now they've tightened up to just be on a beat to windward and passing to leeward, and it's not about changing course, it's about bearing way. So this is a dial down situation where here we have yellow is the right of way boat because it's on starboard, blue is the keep clear boat on port. Blue has decided to bear away to go behind or past the leeward of yellow. Yellow by 16.2 shouldn't change course to stop blue, or to make blue immediately have to change course. So immediately is a little bit, basically the idea is yellow can't hunt blue all the way down. So if yellow keeps changing course and makes blue keep changing course this way, then she's broken 16.2. And this is only really a maneuver you see in match racing, in which case they turn 16.2 off and they allow it. They just don't. 16.2 basically says don't do this match racing tactic in a fleet race. So it very rarely applies. Okay, mark room. There's a clarification. Rule 18 no longer applies between boats when mark room has been given, but that was basically in the rules anyway, just moves across there. Hasn't really changed that. They try and not use the word tacking so much. It's passing head to wind. And I guess the thing is, you might pass head to wind, then pass back again, then pass back again. Once you pass through head to wind, you are subject to this 13 or 3 until you get onto close hauled course. Room to tack and obstruction. This is the loosening up of hails, allowing different language. It's reasonably understood. It also allows you to use signals and whatever. It's really just a clarification. If someone starts shouting at you and it looks like they're about to run aground, I hope you understand it as a hail anyway. For years, we've accepted water as a hail, and that never met the requirements anyway. So those are the changes. Okay, I rushed through those because there's not really very much that applies to us. It's really just a race officer on hulls and a lot of clarifications. It's good to go through the study version and have a look. Now we're going to go to open mic. Does anyone have any questions on the quiz, on general, any questions whatsoever? Just unmute yourself and ask away. Oh. I can see Mark Stacey's unmuted. Is that a question coming in or asking in the chat?
Greg, I have a question.
Yes.
It's the one I emailed you about, it's Martin, about holding course. And you hear that often people saying, hold your course, hold your course. What? Yeah,
okay. So you quite often will get this hail, two boats are getting quite close, and one boat will, normally the keep clear boat will shout at the right of way boat, hold your course, hold your course. And well, there's nowhere in the racing rules of sailing that there is such a hail of hold your course, or none of the right of way rules and none of the only three of the principal limitation rules don't require a hail. You don't have to shout starboard. The only hail that's in those rules is the hail for room to tack. So there is no hail required for anything, and that hail, what it really is, it's a gentle reminder of Rule 16. Typically, you'll hear it when a keep clear boat is trying to get across, say, the bow of a starboard tacker, and the keep clear boat thinks that she's across, and so she's yelling at the right of way boat, don't change course. You might have hunted me to this position, but I'm going across now regardless. Hold your course, don't change course, and hit me. And so it's kind of a gentle reminder, well, or often a non-gentle reminder of Rule 16. It's technically not correct. There's no hail involved, and technically the right-of-way boat doesn't have to hold their course. They just, if they are changing course, they have to give the other boat room. So they can change their course. But if, let's say, there was a close pass and a port tacker just got across a starboard tacker, then the starboard tacker can't change a course up. And so it's generally that. Sometimes it applies to 17 where, don't sail above your proper course. And sometimes it's just, trying to psych the other guy out to say, I'll shout at him, and hopefully while he's going, what does that mean? He'll steer like crap and go slow. But mostly it's a general reminder of 16. It's a keep clear boat, thinks that they're keeping clear, and is telling the right-of-way boat, stop hunting me, stop changing course to stop me keeping clear. And while it holds no weight, if it ever came to a protest, it would be a good indication that the reason that the port tack boat, for instance, got into that situation is that they can say, we thought we were across, and it's only because they changed course did we make contact. So it might be some evidence in a protest, but it holds no sway on the water other than a reminder to the right-of-way boat that her rights aren't unlimited. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but how about proper courses? That's sort of linked. You mentioned sailing a proper course. That's in the eye of the sailor, isn't it? You want to go higher.
Well, the eye of the sailor. So the way I like to think of proper course is don't stupidly luff me. So if you look at the Rule 17 and a boat establishes an overlap from behind within 2 hull lengths to leeward, so that's basically an overtaking maneuver. If a boat starts overtaking to leeward, she shouldn't just suddenly luff up ridiculously, because you could never justify a violent luff to a dead stop as the proper course. Now, sometimes in match racing, you will luff a boat up to a dead stop because in match racing, for instance, it's not important to get to the end fastest. So a proper course. So yeah, Rule 17 and proper course is it's very hard for one boat to say what the other boat's proper course is, because their sails may be different, their view of where the weather's coming from. There might be a wind change over there they're heading for. You can't really start debating, oh, I wouldn't go that way. Rule 17 is all about stopping a silly luff. If they establish that overlap and then luff you to a stop, then they've definitely broken 17. But if they just take you up a little bit because they're sailing at speed, higher than you want to go, that's not going to break 17. They can always justify that. So.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have one.
Yep.
Greg, when this is actually a situation I was this year on a race, beating to windward. I was the port boat, and I decided to duck the starboard boat. And while I was ducking the starboard boat tacked. So I don't think. Are there any rules that apply in this case, or this is just plain dirty tactics?
So I missed it. You were ducking him, and what did he do?
He tacked.
Oh, he tacked.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So let's break that down. So he's on starboard. You're bearing away to pass behind him, and he tacks.
Yes.
As he luffs up to tack, he's the right-of-way boat changing course, so he has to give you room. But you're passing behind him, so he's giving room. Under the current rules, he's changing course. And so under the current rules, he's kind of a little bit limited by 16.2. But that's changing in January, where 16.2 doesn't stop him changing course. It stops him from bearing away. And even if he is changing course, he's not making you change course because you're going behind. Then eventually he goes into attack. Now he's the keep clear boat. So once he's keeping clear, you're the right-of-way boat. You can start coming up, but you've acquired rights. Yeah. So he has to keep clear. If he infringes on you sailing along, then that's bad. So if he's tacked in front of you, so you have to go further away. If you have to bear away, then he's broken 16. No. So he's just broken. He's the keep clear boat. He's broken 13, and you have to bear away to get him. But if he just tacks on top of you, and you could go in a straight line, then it's just he's decided to tack on top of you. He wanted to go right. He's tacked right on top of you. So I guess it means it comes down to if you were passing behind him, and his tack makes you do an extra maneuver to stay clear, then he will have broken 13. Because while tacking, if you've had to bear away, then he's broken 13.
I didn't have to bear away further. No.
Yeah. Then if you didn't have to bear away further, it's just sucks to be you. he's I think it's called a slam dunk or something, isn't it? You not only have you bored away, but then he's tacked right on top of you. You got the dirty wind. Oh, woe is me. Yeah, it sucks to be you.
Yeah, it did suck to be me.
That's racing.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I have a question.
Yep.
So it's basically the same situation that happened a little while ago with Wild Oats and the Hobart on the start line. Basically happened the same thing on the weekend to me. So we're on starboard. A port boat was coming up. They basically tacked in front of us, literally in front of us. Now, they had basically just finished their tack and was on close hold course, but then we have to luff up so we don't basically spear the back of their boat. So match racing, you see they really close, and as long as they finish their tack, they're like, yeah, that's fine, the boat behind kind of has to avoid them. But with us racing with different boats, like we were a 12-ton boat, and now we're probably a lightweight 3-ton, how much room do you have to give? Because we're 12 tons, so we can't move.
Yeah, well, that's where the subjective judgment comes in. So basically, while they're tacking, you had to luff to avoid a collision, then they've broken 13. So, but if they finish their tack and they get onto a close hold course, and you're just behind them, then okay, now they're right of way boat because you're clear astern, but they've acquired rights through their own action. They are required to give you room to keep clear. But you are a racing boat on a start line, and luffing is kind of a normal maneuver. Luffing your boat on a start line is what you kind of expect boats to be able to do with an averagely competent crew. So, making you luff in that situation, unfortunately, is seaman-like. It's giving you room. If there was a reason that you couldn't luff, like there was 20 boats ahead above you, and so you weren't able to luff, or there was the committee boat or something, then they're not giving you room because you're unable to do so. But if you're able to do so in a seaman-like manner, and a luff, this is on a start line, if someone came to me and say, oh, they made me luff, oh, woe is me. Any protest committee is going to say, grow a pair. It's a start line of a big boats. Good tactics is to force your competitors to luff. You want to stop them. That's what the tactics is taught about. That if you can within the rules make them luff and slow up 5 seconds from the start, then that's good tactics. Scary tactics, but and the thing is, if you have to luff before they complete the tack, then they've broken the rule, and that's split-second things there. So yeah.
Yeah, they finished that tack. We probably had 3 meters to them, so we had to immediately go up. It's subjective because they're assuming this 12-ton boat could suddenly turn up and miss them. So then,
exactly.
Slam into them. That's what I mean. The subjectiveness and things.
I guess that's where if you're unable to luff up and miss them, then they haven't given you room. So yeah. If it comes to you hit them and you say, well, I had the helm hard over and the boat was turning as fast as it can, then they're going to lose that protest. But if you put the helm hard over and miss them, well, yeah, it's one of those ones. If you miss them and it's just a normal luff, you have to say I had to luff. Someone fell overboard because I luffed so violently. Might be an argument, you know, that they made you do a violent luff, or they pushed you into a crash tack. Like, let's say they were right so far above you that a luff wasn't sufficient, and you went into a crash tack, and everyone on the rail got, you know, soakingly wet, and someone got washed overboard. That would certainly start breaking it. But if it's just a luff and just an immediate luff, if you were immediately able to luff to avoid them, well, that's kind of what a race boat is expected to do. An averagely competent race boat should be able to luff if they're pushed into it by another boat. So, yeah, but unfortunately, that's a scary thing, is that can be microseconds between, you know, what a good bit of tactical maneuvering versus, oh, that's going to be a collision and break my boat. So that's tacking in front of somebody, you know.
Yeah, but so I actually, the situation that Peter just brought.
Can you speak a bit louder? I can't quite hear you.
Okay, this situation, or this description that Peter just described, of the Liebau attack, in the protest room, are there some sort of rule of thumb where, you know, okay, this is definitely a situation where the Liebau boat was in the right or in the wrong?
Well, in mark room, there is an extra thing. If the boat that's on starboard is due mark room by the other boat, then there's that extra thing in Rule 18 that says that Liebau tack shall not force the starboard boat to sail above her proper course. So that's saying that in that situation, coming up to a mark, you can't do a Liebau tack and force the other boat to luff in that situation, which is kind of explaining that forcing a luff is okay in other situations. It's, you know, but in Rule 18, if you're fetching the mark, then a boat can't come in on port and force, you know, Liebau tack you and force you into a luff, because that would just make too many last minute, you know, hoo-ah Henrys coming in on port and trying to do Liebau tacks, and then someone Liebau tacking them and someone Liebau tacking them, and all of a sudden the whole fleet's luffed up to a standstill. So, yeah, that's the one situation in the rules that definitely says you can't force another boat into a luff with a Liebau tack. And of course, if there were obstructions above that the starboard boat, so they couldn't luff, that would also come into play, that you can't force a boat into a luff if there's nowhere to luff to. So, yeah, but generally a Liebau tack, if it makes the boat on starboard luff, that's part of the rules and normal, unless it's at a mark or they're unable to do so.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
I have one. Maybe, hopefully, it's quick. I've seen people do a start from coming on from course side without going around either the buoys at either end. Is that allowable in all circumstances, or is it only in specific circumstances?
It's not allowable in all circumstances. There's a flag you can put up and that says you're not allowed to do that. You have to go around the outside and come in. But without that flag, you are allowed to do it, but you have to completely duck the line. You can't just touch the line and then go. So especially that's been clarified in the definition. So you actually have to cross the line entirely, then come around and go back up again and start. Because if you just touch the line and go, that's not considered a start. You have to touch it from the pre-start side and then touch it to going onto the start side. So, and I can't remember what color flag it is they can fly to say you have to go around the outside. There was a question in the comments. Three boats and port. We're the middle boat. Okay, leeward boat has room to complete a tack, but not us. We were all approaching rocks, but leeward boat needs water first. What should happen? So you've got three boats, dunk, dunk, dunk. You're approaching rocks and you want to tack. So the situation with the three boats is under Rule 20, which is the hail for room to tack. If you want to hail for room to tack, you have to give the boat time to respond. And if they've got boats outside them, they have to give them time to respond. So hail for room to tack, you have to do it enough time to say it's got to propagate all the way out and come back again. So if you're approaching rocks, the inside boat's got to say, room to tack very early, and then they've got to tack, and come around. But remember, that rule is all about you doing racing rounding of those rocks. So everyone does a nice tack, goes at maximum speed, and tacks back and goes around. If rule 20 is not working and the hails aren't working, then basically, you can luff. You're the right-of-way boat. Luff. And you can slow those boats up. And then even if you go through that little bit of attack, and you're now the keep clear boat, they have to give you room at those rocks. They can't push you onto those rocks. So you can just do a really slow, non-tactical tack, basically. Get on, while you're tacking, they have to give you room, and that's what has to happen. But so ideally, long before you get to the rocks, and long before any boats are luffing to a standstill and whatever, someone's yelled. The inside boat's yelled room to tack. The middle boat has to yell room to tack to the outside boat. The outside boat tacks away. The middle boat tacks away. The inside boat tacks away. Everyone's tacked away at speed without going too close to the rocks. Even if the inside boat or the middle boat yells early, because remember, boats have different depth keels. For one boat, they might have to tack a lot earlier than the other boat. As soon as anybody yells, start tacking. And even if you think they're taking the piss and it's 200 meters to go, it doesn't matter. If they yell room to tack, you have to give them room to tack. If you think they broke the rule by yelling too early, you have to tack or give them room to tack, and then you can protest them. But you can't not respond. So the whole idea of Rule 20 is to try and make fast roundings of obstructions, and if anyone takes the piss, resolve it in the protest room. But if that hailing doesn't work, just remember you're entitled to luff and you're entitled to a slow tack because they can't push you onto the rocks. Bye to those who are leaving. Thanks to everyone who's turned up. Any more questions? I'm happy to. I can talk all night long. It's only been an hour and 20. That's a really quick training. Normally, I drag this out for 3 hours, and someone has to take me out kicking and screaming. Come on, give me another question. I miss sailing so much. I'm over here in the fields of Italy. No boat. Oh. Okay, it's all going quiet. Lisa unmuted. Is Lisa asking a question?
No, I was just going to thank you so much for putting together all of the slides and presentations. I was sure I was going to do really well, but I've definitely got a few.
What was the score?
Oh, the coal. Well, it was 14. The coal rigs is what's up.
Yeah, well, there were trick questions. There was a good 5 trick questions in there that were designed to trick up people who thought they knew the rules and details. And I was taking them as a teaching opportunity to just make sure, go around the outside, don't worry about the technicalities too much. But yeah, so.
Thanks very much.
So you were one question away from being cheated.
Thanks very much. I've got to head home.
All right, so everyone, any other questions? If not, okay. Catch you all later.
Thanks, Greg.